Whoops. Time to start.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone. The hour being 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday, January 17th, 2024. The Tooele City Council and the Redevelopment Agency are meeting in a work meeting. This meeting is being held at Tooele City Hall in the council chambers located at 90 North Main Street in Tooele, Utah. This is also being broadcast on the Tooele City YouTube channel. We will start with a roll call. Councilwoman Manzione.
Present.
Councilwoman Goches.
Present.
Councilman Hanson.
Present.
Councilman McCall.
Present.
I'm Councilman Brady. I'm also present. We'll move on to item 3, which is the mayor's report.
Thank you, Chairman. I have a photo in the slides to show you the latest buffalo that we've added to our buffalo herd. And this one is right in front of City Hall, on the south side in the front of City Hall. This one is sponsored by Big Stuff Taxidermy. So we encourage our residents, come down and take a look. From back here and in the picture, you just cannot see all the detail. There's some beautiful birds painted on this and some other insects and things. And it's just a really, really beautiful buffalo. We're excited to have it here. And as you can see in the photo there's a lot of snow around it. But what our plan is this year, as soon as the weather turns, we will be putting out to bid soon here to redo the landscape here at City Hall into a xeriscape. We're going to be removing most of the grass, and hopefully we will have a showpiece that we can show residents how they can also do their yards into a xeriscape and help us to conserve water. And reminding residents that there is a landscape incentive that they can apply for. Our city qualifies for that, any of the residents that live in our city. Because you did change the code and made this possible. They will give you up to $3 a square foot. You have to qualify, but just don't remove the grass until they come and look at it, so they can determine that to get your rebate. And cities can also apply for that rebate. So we will be doing the same thing. So we're just kind of waiting for a little bit closer to spring, but we'll have some beautiful xeriscape around City Hall in the future. So we appreciate it, and that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Nguyen. We'll move on to item 4, which is the council members' report. We'll start with Councilwoman Manzione.
I went to the chamber luncheon today, and Natsu Health presented. It was very informative. It was they talked about what they're doing in the old hotels that they have up there on the south end of town, and they have a great program. It starts lots of different types of lots of different ways to get people help that need it. It was quite informative, so I appreciate that. And then I went to planning and zoning, which is always a great time. They do a great job. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilwoman Goches.
Thank you, Chairman. I attended the budget discussion meeting that was held on the 12th of January, and that was a good introduction to what's in store for our budget for Tooele City. Also on Wednesday, I met with Chase Randall, who is the library director, and I'm excited to be able to serve on the library board, and we will meet on Thursday. I've also spoken to several constituents regarding receiving violations of snow removal on their sidewalk. So I made a couple of phone calls to try to help them to navigate that process, and happy to help in any way that I can. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Hanson.
Pretty much the same, only a different guy. So anyway, I went to both of them things and talked to people about snow. So yeah.
The hot
It was a
topic.
good week.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Councilman McCall.
Nope, I did the budget report thing. That was about it. The budget meeting.
Okay.
And I haven't talked to anybody about snow.
Well, you're the lucky one then.
Lucky.
I
But in the
guess.
paper, it said we're almost 100% in the mountains,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good news.
Which is great.
which is amazing because I
Yeah.
thought we
I've,
had to have it in the valley to get it. So
I drove
Yeah.
up to the reservoir, and it seems like it's much higher than it has been in years past.
years
So I'm sure it'll
That's
go over the
too.
spillway again, and which is good. We want
Yeah,
that. So.
I did do that, but that was a couple of weeks ago, and it was already higher than it should normally is.
Yeah.
we'll take it.
Okay. My report, I also attended the budget meeting. All of us were there. It was a great budget meeting, and I think we have a lot of great things happening with our budget. Definitely have some challenges ahead of us, but I think we're up to addressing them. So I look forward to addressing those challenges. And then I attended my weekly staff meeting with Mayor Nguyen and department heads, so that's always a pleasure to go to that. That concludes my report. We'll move on to our discussion items. Our first one is a discussion on ordinance 2024-02, an ordinance of the Tooele City Council amending Tooele City Code Section 4-8-2 regarding dead-end streets and cul-de-sacs, presented by Paul Hansen, the city engineer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pass you the revised ordinance, if I may,
Thank
I'll
you.
explain.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just handed you a revised ordinance. This afternoon, as we were in preparation for tonight, we read through the ordinance again and found another inconsistency that we wanted to resolve at the same time, and I'll explain. A short while back, the Tooele City Council amended our code to say that all cul-de-sacs had to be paved. That is at the direction of the fire department and is consistent with the International Fire Code Appendix B. However, when we passed that ordinance, which is in Title VII, we didn't sufficiently review the other ordinances in City Code. Chapter 8, which is the one that will be discussed tonight and presented for action later tonight, clarifies information on dead-end streets or cul-de-sacs. Again, we reference International Fire Code, and after talking with the fire chief, in your resolution, you have a snippet from that Appendix B that talks about different criteria for access points for fire department. The thing that's important for the city in public streets is the one that talks about a cul-de-sac radius greater than 150 feet. In the code, it says if it's more than 150 feet, it has to have a 96-foot paved cul-de-sac, and it has to be fully accessible to the fire department. As a city, we believe that's important not only to the fire department, but also to other service vehicles. Our code right now says greater than 150 feet or more than one residential lot. If I have more than one residential lot, I'm going to have garbage trucks in there in a week that would have to back out. I'll have delivery vehicles, mail, all kinds of service, snow plows. So the cul-de-sac is important to the city and to the Public Works Department in addition to the fire department. So this code simply modifies 481 subparagraph 4 dead ends as follows. It clarifies that policy on the length of cul-de-sacs, stating that dead-end streets, whether temporary or permanent, greater than 150 feet in length or deeper than one single-family residential lot in depth, whichever front yard frontage or side yard frontage is less, shall require a cul-de-sac. Again, that just makes it consistent with our policy. Paragraph C, the one I just handed to you, corrects the number 50-foot radius to 60-foot radius. Again, we've overlooked this for a long time. Our standard plans and standard details call out 60 feet. 60 feet radius allows us to meet the fire code requirements, plus have curb and gutter, a park strip, and sidewalk. If we limited it purely to the 50 feet, we would only have road and curb and gutter maybe. So this, again, is a consistency between Tooele City Code. And the last item in that paragraph C that we've modified and suggested tonight is to clarify that if we have a temporary turnaround, that it also be paved. That was something that should have been addressed in the paved ordinance we discussed several weeks ago with the other code. So again, this is simply to comply with fire code, make our code and our city policies consistent with each other, and to standardize our drawings and standards so that we don't have conflicts. Are there any questions?
Do we currently have any areas where it's not paved and because we didn't have this up to code?
We do.
Or- Okay.
Yes, we do. We have several cul-de-sacs where we allowed them to do a temporary road base or gravel, and we hate them. One is at the bottom of I forget the name, it's at the top of the Deer Hollow subdivision, where you come back down and it dead ends into what used to be the city property. There's a cul-de-sac there that we've had fire departments in the past in the winter get down and not be able to get back out without help and assistance. And the cul-de-sacs are just never maintained fully. They become a challenge. The fire chief told me that they've on more than one occasion pulled into gravel cul-de-sacs and had fire trucks sink. And so we're simply trying to bring our code into compliance with International Fire Code, protect our assets, and make our roads safe for all users, not just for fire.
I assume the existing ones, they're already existing, so it's just for future changes?
Yes, yeah, this would be for new subdivisions that
Right,
have not been final approved by the city.
all right.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, this will be in our work meeting tonight as well, or business meeting, not work meeting. Okay, thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Our second discussion item is Resolution 2024-06, a resolution of the Tooele City Council amending the Tooele City fee schedule regarding garbage containers, presented by Shannon Wimmer, the Finance Director.
Good evening, Council. With the increased costs that we have seen in services with the Solid Waste Fund, and which also brought us a significant reduction in the fund balance in that fund to an unsustainable level, we've brought to you several changes in the Solid Waste Fund over the last several months. Our first change was to update the recycling fee, and that was to just ensure that the fee would actually cover the cost of the services to provide that service each month. That new fee has gone into effect, and it's actually on the utility bills now. And then a couple months ago, we brought you an update to just our regular can garbage service fee. There was a small increase that was necessary there, and that will actually go into effect. Our waiting period will be over on February 1st, and we will start billing that on the utility bills this next month. But the last update that has become necessary in this fund, and that's what I'm proposing to you tonight, is to add the cost of a garbage container to our fee schedule. So this would be a fee for a new can delivered basically to a new construction home that just moved in, or for an additional can if somebody wants an additional can at their home, or to replace a lost or a stolen can. So this is a standard fee is charged by all of the other local governments in our county, and this is something that we were covering the cost prior in just our regular service fee, and that has obviously become unsustainable. And so we are asking to implement this fee for these cans to our fee schedule, which would be for a regular garbage can, $65 for a can, whether it's your first can, an additional can, or a replacement of a lost or stolen can. That's how much we get the cans from. We usually get them from Rare Rig, and we get a little bit cheaper rate on that because we can order them in bulk. And then on the recycling cans, ACE does not charge us for the first can. They actually provide the first can, but any replacement can that is needed would be $80, and that's our actual cost from ACE for those cans. So that's what we are proposing in this resolution tonight, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
How many garbage cans a year are we replacing, or new garbage cans? Like thousands or hundreds?
Hundreds.
Okay, hundreds.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, any questions, comments?
It's logical.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thanks. All right, our next discussion item is a proposal to amend ordinance 7-16-3, Table 1, Table of Uses, and 7-1-5, definitions regarding accessory vehicle storage yards associated with automobile sales and rental businesses, presented by Andrew Agard, the Community Development Director.
Thank you, Chairman Brady, members of the City Council. You will recall at your last City Council meeting that there was an item on there for Marcosian Auto for a land use map amendment. They were looking to change the zoning of the property ultimately in order to permit an accessory vehicle storage yard. At that meeting, the land use map amendment was ultimately denied. However, the City Council seemed open to a text amendment that may satisfy what Marcosian Auto is looking to do. This ordinance would affect, if it were to be ratified, not just Marcosian's property, but also the zones that it's proposed for. So although they are the catalyst behind this ordinance amendment, I think it would be a good move for the city in regards to this particular use. What we are proposing is an addition to our table of commercial uses. An addition of a use that says accessory vehicle storage yard only with automobile sales and rental. So if you have an automobile sales rental yard in either the industrial service, industrial, or light industrial zone, you could have an accessory vehicle storage yard with a conditional use permit approved by the Planning Commission. Roger suggested that we codify some requirements in the code to try and limit any impacts to adjacent properties. So the ordinance amendment also includes an additional note in our table of commercial uses that states accessory vehicle storage yards shall comply with the following requirements. Those requirements are the vehicle storage yard shall be enclosed by a 6-foot solid visual barrier fence, such as a vinyl fence, masonry fence, or metal fence. Then the vehicle storage yard shall be paved in either concrete or asphalt. We want this requirement in there to prevent any leakage from the vehicles from seeping into the ground. And then number C, the vehicle storage area shall not occupy more than 15% of the automobile sales and rental property. We want these storage yards to be accessory to and ancillary to an established automobile sales and rental business, not the dominant use on the property. The ordinance also proposes to amend the definitions section of the code. We wanted to add a new definition for accessory vehicle storage yard. And the definition would be private storage yard for the storage of automobiles for up to and not to exceed 120 days, in conjunction with and ancillary to an allowed automobile sales and rental business, including, but not limited to, temporary storage of repossessed vehicles, vehicles awaiting insurance claims, and vehicles awaiting general maintenance or repair prior to being sold. So we wanted to make sure we clearly defined what temporary is. We don't want somebody to have a car on there for 2 years and say, we're getting rid of it next year, it's temporary. So that's the ordinance that we're proposing. We do think that it would be a good addition to automobile sales and rental business, namely because it is to be anticipated that there will be vehicles stored with any automobile sales business. And so this would, I think, would benefit businesses that are looking to do that in the city, and win-win for all of us. So that's what we're proposing. If you have any questions or suggestions, I'd be happy to answer those. Otherwise, I'm prepared to move it through the public process if the council would like me to do that.
Any questions or comments?
I just have one. The discussion at the planning mission, and it was about he's going to wanted to do body work there also. And that wasn't part of the light industrial area. So what was
Correct.
Did they just change their mind, or?
No, actually what happened was when I did that presentation, I was incorrect. I thought that the use was only permissible in the industrial. Automobile repair and automobile repair and fender work is permissible in the light industrial, industrial service, and industrial. So that is already addressed by our code.
Okay, awesome. All right, I'm good then.
Thank you.
I like the additional requirements. So,
Yes, and we wanted to keep the conditional use permit just in case there are other situations that need to be mitigated. And so that's why we kept it conditional, just in case we miss something, the Planning Commission can catch it in their review.
okay.
Okay,
Good.
yeah, looks good.
Okay, thank you,
All right,
Council.
thank you. All right, we will move on to item 6, which is a closed meeting. We do have a closed meeting tonight to discuss litigation and/or property acquisition. I will entertain a motion to move to a closed meeting.
Chairman,
Oh.
I'm sorry, excuse me,
Oh.
but we will not be able to hold a closed meeting tonight.
Okay, sorry. I wasn't told that. Okay, so we will not have a closed meeting. That means we move on to item 7 is to adjourn, so we adjourned at 5:48.